Welcome back to GymTube, everybody. In today's video, we're going to be finding out why I think this is the best bike I've ever ridden. Reason number one, the Bonneville 1200 parallel twin, water-cooled, 90 horsepower, 110 Newton meters of torque, and a 7,200 RPM rev limit. Now, you're going to find out very shortly what that engine's all about, especially when it's paired up with this Zard exhaust system here. It sounds unbelievable. It is the best sounding bike I've ever ridden. Reason number two, the handling and the chassis. Now, I'm going to tell you about that later when we're on the road, but just for now, I cannot believe how well it turns into corners and handles the road. On paper, you would think it wouldn't. It's got 220mm travel front and rear, and it's got that massive front wheel. It would seem like it's going to understeer a bit, but it doesn't. It handles so well, way better than any other adventure bike I've actually ridden with a similar setup. We'll cover some more points in the video about it, but let's just look at it. It is one of the greatest looking bikes ever. Traditional scrambler style, twin shock on the rear. It's just absolute beauty. Now this is what it's all about. You turn the Triumph on, you get this nice greeting message, and the screen's really good. I love this TFT display. Now I do like the old traditional style dials, but I think this actually works quite well. It definitely doesn't look as pretty, but I quite like it. You can change your modes over here. I always go into the Off-Road Pro, select that, and that will turn off traction control, ABS, wheelie control, everything. It makes this bike what it is. It makes it what it needs to be. I know it has to be there, but trust me, just turn it off, ride this bike, and you'll experience everything you need to know. Honestly, you're not ready for this engine. It is so good. The noise it makes. Now, the standard exhaust isn't great, I have to admit. It's very restrictive and it just doesn't sound like this, but this one, even just purring along. Listen to that! What I've compared this bike to friends that I've been discussing and telling them all about it is, I've discussed it like, I've explained it as like a Harley. It's a little bit like a Harley. Just go around these guys here. And yeah, it's just like a Harley. It's just got this torque and this power. Now I love Harleys, but for me riding, I like to move the bike around a little bit more, and Harley's a little bit too big. But this has just got that beautiful engine sound, but you can ride it, you can move it around. It's nimble, it leans, it dives down. Oh man, this chassis is just so good on this. I was so shocked when I rode it at first. I thought it was going to be very sluggish, but in fact it's actually super responsive, but not too responsive. You know, it's not twitchy like a BMW 9T. A BMW 9T is very twitchy. This is actually quite laid back, but it also feels like it's actually doing what you want it to when you turn. It just leans over and actually steers around the corner. They've just dialed the geometry on this bike so well, and you can feel it. You can honestly feel it as soon as you get on it. You're like, wow, I feel really at home with this bike. And then you get to the engine and you've just got this constant ear-to-ear grin, just cruise along and sick. Look at that torque. You can just open up the throttle and it just tugs you along, and while you're doing it, it just sounds so good. And the thing that I love about it is, you'd think the engine would be like a relaxed, you know, sort of old mooch along engine. When this thing gets going, it's not. Don't get me wrong, it's not a 12,500 screamer, but it just delivers this character when you're riding it and you're going through the gears that makes it feel like a race engine. It's a big heavy 1200, really, you know, a massive twin. But man, when you get this thing revving, as I'm about to show you, it really darts around, and it's just exciting. Look at that, just go around in the third. The gearbox is awesome as well, really short ratios. You know, you can cruise along comfortably at sort of 70-80 on the motorway, but on roads like this, you're going through the gears a lot, and that's all the character of the bike. You know, you're changing gears, you're using the clutch, there's no quick shifter, there's no blipper, it's all mechanical. It just feels extremely analog. It's such an exciting, involving, connecting bike to ride. and then you come up to the corners like this and you can just absolutely pelt it round them. That's what I love about it. It's a proper scrambler. You know, it feels like you've just been thrown all the way back in time, back to when these bikes were what they were, and you sort of just jumped on it and rode it. It wasn't about all this, oh, what electrics can do this and what traction control, and it's just all about the ride. You know, it wasn't about, oh, what's comfy. They just stuck a slab on it and you're off, slab seat, let's go. No faffing around. And that's where you really feel connected. You feel like you're riding a piece of history here, which is nice and modern and reliable. And it's very simple. Look at the dash, everything here, the display, you know, you've got your bars, it's quite neat and tidy. I know stock these come with the handguards on. I've removed them because I think they look a bit cooler without it, especially the bar brace. It's narrowed it down a bit, but listen to that engine go. Now let's just show you what I mean about this engine. We've got the Metzeler Karoo 4 tyres, loads of torque, loads of power, and it handles unbelievably well. You know, we'll throw it in here. Look at that! How would you ever believe a bike like this would be able to ride like that? That's what the Scrambler is all about. It is just all about being able to throw it round. It feels light and nimble. It's quite a heavy bike, pushing over 200 kilos, but man, when you ride this thing, it is just electric. You know, it's just darting around. It wants to dive and jump, and I cannot believe that the chassis handles this way with this slack front end and the 21-inch front wheel. Triumph have just nailed and dialed in that geometry so well. Every other adventure bike I've ridden with a 21-inch front wheel feels like it's pushing on an understeering, apart from the Africa Twin with the, what's it got? It's got a 19-inch front wheel on it, I think, now, for the adventure sports. But that's the only bike that hasn't felt like that. Any bike with a 21-inch front wheel, it felt like it's pushing on. This thing does not do that. It turns, it's just dialed in, man. It just turns in. It's so nice. And confidence, you know, I'm running the Metzeler Karoo 4 tyres. They're a 50/50 tyre, and bags of grip. It is absolutely phenomenal. It is one of the best chassis I've ever ridden. 220mm travel front and rear. You know, yeah, it does dive down a bit, but it's not as soft as some of the other bikes. You know, it's actually quite composed. The valving in the suspension is just perfect, and that gearbox. It's such a short ratio on the gearbox, so you can really just enjoy the bike look and just change down loads of gears, just flying around the corners. That's the beauty of it. It's analog, you know, there's no quick shifter or blipper on it, and I just think that is the best thing Triumph have done on this bike, because, you know, it's all too digital now. This just takes you back. It sends you way, way, way back in time, where motorbikes were motorbikes, you know, where you got on them and that was it. It wasn't like, oh, if I pull too much front brake, ABS is going to save me. It was, pull too much front brake, you're going to crash. And that's why I just love turning everything off and riding this bike sort of how I feel Triumph had designed it, and they just had to add all these electrics on because of regulations and all that sort of thing. But when you turn it all off, it's what the bike should be. And it just, like I say, it just takes you back to a time where bikes were bikes, you know, and you really feel it on this with that big loud engine. If you own one of these bikes, you have to put an exhaust on it. It's just sacrilege not to put an exhaust on this bike with that 1200 big banger twin engine. You cannot do it, and you just enjoy it so much more. So yeah, I mean, what a bike, what a bike. You really do feel like you're back in time on this bike, but you've got all the modern sort of esque about it. You've got the reliability of the engine, you've got fuel injection, you've got this nice TFT screen. Now, don't get me wrong, I really do like the old school twin dials, but I've gotten quite well with this screen, and I actually think it's quite nice. It's not the most pretty. I feel like it's probably the only thing that lets this bike down on its looks is that TFT screen. I feel like they could have maybe done double dials or something, made it look a bit smarter, but they'll probably do that in the future. But it works, it's functional, and it's really nice and easy just to turn everything off. So yeah, what a chassis. Back to the gearbox. awesome. Gear ratios could not be better. They could not be more spot on with this bike. Like, genuinely, they are so good. They just tick all the boxes of what you'd want. You've got first gear, which is kind of usable. Look, you pull out of here and it doesn't rev out. It's just perfect. It's just got all that torque. Straight to second, third, and you're just going through the box up to sixth. Cruising on motorway speed, sort of 70, 80, this is fine. You'd be sat probably like 4.5, 5,000 RPM, not the end of the world, and it mooches along quite nicely. I've done quite a bit of like journeys on this bike now, some big trips and bits and bobs that I've been just flying around on, and it's worked really, really well. So no complaints there about the gearbox, the engine, or anything. It's just the one. And the suspension is comfy. Like I said earlier, it is soft, but it's not too soft. They've got the valving just right, and we're just nice and smooth going along the road there. You can feel the road a little bit more. I think that's what they've done that's really clever with the suspension. You can really feel what the road's doing, and you can feel a few more bumps than you normally would on a big travel sort of adventure bike. So I feel like that's where they've managed to dial in the handling, just getting that sort of low speed valving right and the high speed stuff set perfect. So you hit a big lump and it's just going to soak it all up, but on the lower speed stuff it's a bit more conformed, I guess. Now, as I'm sure you can tell so far from this video, I absolutely love this bike. It's awesome. Look at it. Just looking at it makes me happy. So let's just go over a couple of things here which I absolutely adore about this bike. So the twin rear shock, I think that is the most iconic bit of this bike. It's proper traditional scrambler style. And the suspension, as I've just mentioned, works so well. The Öhlins rear shocks here, we got the Showa front suspension. The valving on it's perfect. It's just awesome. Other thing I like here is this cap, the fuel cap. I know it's plastic underneath, which you have to pop off there, but you know, when you're playing around with the cap and you put it down, it's just got that feel to it, you know, like old school clicking away Monza style fuel cap there. I like the under bar mirrors that I've put on here. These are quite cool. Obviously I've changed a bit on this bike, as you can see. So we've taken off the rear fender and just put a number plate here with these tiny little lights here, and they're 3-in-1. So they do the running rear light, they do the brake light, and they do the indicators. So they're really neat, really expensive, but they work really well. And then we got this tail tidy, which you bolt on here, and it's got this metal under tray, which tidies up the rear bit because it comes with plastic from factory. So that's really cool. Obviously we got the exhaust on here, and then on the front, we've got this Alcatraz style front light cover, which unbelievably doesn't really affect the night lighting on it at all. So when you're riding at night, it doesn't really change the effectiveness of the bulb. And the bulb is awesome. The lights on this in the evening are absolutely awesome. You can see everything. That big round light lights up the whole road. So that's really impressive. Another thing to mention while we're down it is these tyres. These are the Metzeler Karoo 4s, and I'm just blown away by the grip of them. Now, this isn't a tyre review, but we can just cover them, and they are awesome as a 50/50 tyre. Off-road, we haven't done much on this, just a bit of gravel riding, but they are absolutely superb on the road. There is just so much grip, and with 90 horsepower, it's very hard to break traction. You've really got to push them. So wet riding, yeah, they're slippy. They're not going to perform as well as a complete road tyre, but they are very good on this bike, and they just make the bike. Like, look at how awesome they look on the bike. They really do set the bike off. And the other thing I absolutely love on this is the frame. So where the engine goes through here, you can see through, and it just gives it that sort of bare frame rawness, and that just adds to the experience when you're visualizing this bike. When it's parked up and you're sat having a coffee, sort of having a look at it, or you're having a chat with the fellas about bikes, that is just one bit on the bike that's super special to me. Tank, as we come over here, come on, you've always got to love this tank strap, brushed stainless tank strap here. And I love this color, the green with it's like a creamy white. It's not actually white, this, and that just works really nicely. So, man, such an awesome bike, this. Absolutely love it. Now the brakes, they've actually dialed in really nice on this. These M50 Brembo calipers, they've, oh, it's a stick. They've actually just dialed them in, and the pad compound feels really good. It's not snatchy. A few other bikes I've ridden lately have got very similar calipers, but the pads are very snatchy as you get on the brakes, and as much as it feels good, it's a little bit like this whole sort of car issue with over-assisted brakes. You know, you don't really like it, and this is perfect. This master cylinder just adds that perfect amount of power in. So on the road, yeah, you don't get that huge grab when you grab the lever, but the power is there when you pull it. And if you're ever going to take this thing off-road, which you might, on some gravel, you've got a bit more modulation there on the brakes. The Honda Africa Twin that I recently rode had a fantastic brake setup, and this is very similar, apart from the fact it's got Brembo calipers, which are just a little bit more pretty than the Nissan stuff. So the brakes are very good on it. The rear brakes are solid. And I love how the sprocket's on the other side on this, so you've got the chain and sprocket on the right and the rear brake on the left. I think it's quite quirky, especially if you put like a nice gold chain on this or something. That would look quite smart. And with the exhaust being on that side, I think it looks good. Now let's cover the exhaust. I mean, yes, it's not the side exhaust that the traditional Scrambler comes with, and don't get me wrong, I love that more than anything, and I would love one on this bike, but from the rumours and what I felt from riding the stand exhaust with the heat on your leg, I kind of feel like this exhaust is just kind of hits the spot. I mean, look, it doesn't look as good, but it's never going to, is it? If you're trying to get that sort of comfort feeling, you're going to have to go with the side exhaust like this down the bottom. And this is one of the nicest I've seen. This Zard system's lovely with the little carbon tip on it. I think it's really well made. They're an Italian brand, and it's just a fantastic system. So I'm quite happy with the exhaust how it is, and I think the pros you get with it being down there and no heat is just worth it if you're going to be riding this bike on kind of longer distances. And in the summer, the standard exhaust or even side exhaust are so hot on your leg. You know, it's a nice thing, but look, if you're going to go for the fashion and the cool looks, you're going to have the side exhaust, because hands down that is the best looking thing on one of these bikes. Or the Twin. I've seen a couple of bikes have single exhaust on each side, and that just looks absolutely awesome. The engine is addictive. Every time you ride this bike, you're not going to ride it and not smile, ever. Like, it's guaranteed. If you're in a bad mood, just go get a Triumph Scrambler 1200 XC and just mooch around with it, and you'll come home a happy man, or woman. If you're riding one of these, you're a woman, you'll be a happy woman. It's just, they're just an awesome bike. Cruise control, let's cover that. I mean, on this bike, the cruise control is actually really good. It's a very basic system. Look, you've just got the switch up here. You just press it once and it activates it, and then it sets your speed. Press it again, and that's it. Cruise control on. Cruising along now, and you can faff around with your right hand doing whatever you're doing. Obviously, it's not for that, but yeah, it helps. And when you're on a nice ride on the motorway and you're cruising on at sort of 70 on these, they are actually a comfy bike, and it's nice just to hit that on. I actually love cruise control on bikes. I think it's really great, no matter how short ride the distance is or what the purpose of the bike. Just having that there is just an added bonus to me. I don't see any cons of having that on a bike, other than it's just nice just to, you know, when you're on a motorway where it's a bit boring, you might sit there for maybe even 20 minutes. It's still nice just to have it on. I think it's a great luxury. So cruise control on this is just fantastic. Absolutely love it. And that's kind of it for the electronics. I mean, you've got your lights and your bits and bobs. You've got the heated grips here. This has been spec'd with it. Put those on. That is nice. I love heated grips. The standard Triumph grips as well, so they look smart. They're not some big bulky things. It's a real sleek design here with the button here on the left hand grip. So that's very nice. I can't get enough of heated grips on bikes, especially in weather like this. A bit of an autumnal day. It's a bit cold, and it's kind of just nice just to have them on there, get your hands a bit toasty, especially if you take off the handguards to give it more of an open look on the front end. You're going to be exposed to the wind a bit more, so heated grips always help. So very, very nice there. Switch gear is very minimal. I like that. It's not massive, big, bulky. That's another thing that I'm really, really like about this bike. This clean, simple handlebar area here. It just looks so nice. You've got your mode button there to switch between modes very easily, and then, you know, this side your start, stop, and then you've got your home button there and your hazard lights. So one thing I don't like about this bike, actually, other than the screen, the only other annoying thing on it is the fact that it's a wireless key, or like just keyless. You don't put the key in the on. I kind of like it, I kind of don't. It's a really weird thing to get used to. I just kind of like having a key you put in your bike, and then that's it. You know, you've got your 12-volt charger there. Oh, Ducati 916, what a legend. Just bought that out on a nice sunny day. Yeah, you've got your 12-volt charger there, and this is how you do your steering lock, which is a bit of a faff. You'd like push it down, turn it, push it, lift it out. Bit annoying, but that's that there. So that kind of tidies that up. But then you just turn it on here with your key in your pocket, and it's got an immobilizer you press. But yeah, I'm not sure about it. I just kind of like your key. I love that. There's a kind of thing about getting on a bike turning the key, turning it on, and then there's a process, a little bit more engaging. I don't know, maybe it's an old school thing, but I've always loved just putting my key in the bike, turning it on. I don't know. I'm sure some of you agree. If you do, let me know in the comments and see what you think. And as always, make sure you subscribe. So now we've covered all that, let's just go and have a bit more of a play on the bike around some twisties, onto some of the faster stuff now with these twisties. The bike, look how low it's going on these tyres. bit of a slide down the rear. Oh man, it's just awesome. It handles so good, and actually the dials and the dash does a quite good job of sort of moving the air out the way a bit. It's not a neck breaking bike, it really isn't. When you're cruising on sort of 70 on the motorway, it's actually quite nice. You don't feel too uncomfy. Amazing, absolutely awesome bike. This is the reason why it's the best bike. Look at this sunny day, just cruising along. You don't have to be absolutely flying at 1,000 miles an hour, and you just, well, you can leave it in sick, just enjoy that engine. Oh, it's stunning, absolutely stunning. Well, let's wrap this video up. What an absolutely awesome bike we've got here. As you can see, I absolutely love it, and I think it is genuinely one of my favorite bikes I've ever ridden. It's just a pure, proper motorbike. And you can jump on it, whether it's down to the shops or you want to brave it and do a 3-hour trip on it. You can do it on this bike. You know, you get your saddlebags, tie them on, and just get out there and ride. It's like, it's what it's all about. This is what motorbiking is all about in its rawest sense. So yeah, absolutely love it. Let me know in the comments what you think about this bike. If you've got one, ridden one, what you think of it, any sort of reservations about buying one. I'd love to speak to you all about it. So thank you very much for watching this video, and give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And as always, hit that subscribe button and we'll get more content up for everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.